In a world where survival is a daily battle, one lion's struggle for strength and purpose leads him on an unexpected journey. But true power isn't just about overcoming obstacles. It's about discovering who you are meant to be. Will he rise above his past and prove his worth, or will the jungle break him? In the heart of the vast jungle, under the shadow of towering trees and amidst the whispering winds, a young lion named Leo was born. From the moment he opened his eyes, the jungle buzzed with excitement, for Leo was destined to be a great lion. His golden mane shimmered in the sunlight, his eyes sparkled with curiosity, and his muscles seemed strong and capable. His roar, though still soft and innocent, echoed through the jungle, signaling that he was the future king. But despite all the grandeur of his birth, Leo's life would not be the easy path that many expected. As Leo grew, it became apparent that he was different from the other lions. While the cubs of his age were growing stronger, quicker, and more skilled at hunting, Leo struggled. His attempts at hunting were clumsy and often unsuccessful. He tried to pounce on prey, but they always managed to slip away at the last moment. His roars, once filled with promise, seemed to carry no weight, no fear into the hearts of the creatures he wished to command. Leo would watch in quiet frustration as the older lions, those with thick, powerful manes and commanding voices, effortlessly brought down prey, one after another. They moved with such ease and grace, their steps measured and purposeful, while Leo felt out of place in the shadows of their success. The other lions noticed Leo's struggle, and some began to whisper amongst themselves. "He will never be like us," they would say. "Look at him, so weak and unsure. He may be the son of a lion, but he will never have what it takes to lead." These whispers reached Leo's ears, and although he tried to shake them off, they settled deep in his heart. What if they were right? What if he would never be able to become the strong, majestic lion everyone expected him to be? These thoughts haunted him as he wandered the jungle, his heart weighed down by doubt. At first, Leo sought comfort in his mother. She was a wise and kind lioness, known for her deep knowledge of the jungle. She had guided many young cubs and had seen lions of all kinds struggle and triumph. Her wisdom was a source of strength for Leo, but even her words couldn't lift the weight of his self-doubt. One evening, as the jungle's twilight turned the sky into a canvas of oranges and purples, Leo sat beside his mother, his eyes filled with sadness. "Why am I not like the others?" Leo asked. His voice trembled as he looked at the ground, unwilling to meet his mother's eyes. "Why do I struggle so much, and they seem to succeed so easily?" His mother, as always, was calm and composed. She looked at her son, her eyes filled with affection. "Leo," she began, "true strength is not always measured by how fast you run or how powerful you are. Strength lies in your heart, in your ability to rise after you fall, and in your determination to keep moving forward. You will find your way, my son. The jungle has many lessons for you." But Leo wasn't convinced. His heart felt heavy, and despite his mother's comforting words, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was destined for failure. The days went by, and Leo continued to struggle. Every attempt at hunting felt like a failure, and the other lions, though not cruel, looked at him with a kind of pity. They didn't say anything directly, but their silence spoke volumes. Leo could feel it in the way they watched him from a distance, always with a knowing look, as if he were a lost cause. He tried to dismiss their stares, but the more he tried, the more they affected him. He felt invisible and inadequate, like an imposter among the other lions. The weight of his failure grew heavier each day, and soon, Leo stopped trying altogether. For days, he wandered the jungle alone, avoiding the other lions, the antelopes, and even his own reflection in the water. He spent his time in the quiet corners of the jungle, far from the laughter of the other animals, watching as they thrived, and he simply existed. It was during these long days of solitude that Leo began to question himself more deeply. What was wrong with him? Was he truly incapable of becoming the lion he was meant to be? His mind became a tangled web of doubt, and each passing day seemed to pull him further into despair. One afternoon, Leo found himself standing at the edge of a wide river. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the water. He watched the river flow steadily, its waters unfazed by the rocks and branches in its path. The river flowed on, its course unbroken by obstacles. Leo felt an odd connection to the river. It too had struggled, had been blocked at times, yet it had always found a way forward. As he stood there, gazing at the water, a thought suddenly struck him. Perhaps he was trying to be something he wasn't. Maybe he was so focused on being like the other lions that he had forgotten what made him unique. Perhaps he didn't have to roar the loudest or hunt the fastest. Maybe, just maybe, there was another path for him to follow. That night, Leo returned to his mother, not with answers, but with a new determination. He wasn't ready to give up just yet. "Mother," he said softly as he sat beside her, "I think I understand now. I don't have to be like the others. I just need to find my own way." His mother looked at him with pride. "I knew you would find it in your heart, Leo. The jungle doesn't require you to be like everyone else. It only requires you to be true to yourself." From that moment forward, Leo no longer measured his worth by the successes or failures of others. He began to explore the jungle in his own way, learning from the creatures that lived there. He observed the cunning of the fox, the patience of the turtle, and the wisdom of the owl. Leo started to think differently about his struggles. They weren't failures. They were opportunities to learn and grow. He didn't know exactly where his path would lead, but for the first time in a long while, Leo felt a sense of peace. The doubts that had once consumed him began to fade. With each new step, Leo learned more about the jungle, and more importantly, he learned more about himself. As the days passed, Leo began to explore the jungle with a new sense of purpose, determined not to compare himself to the other lions, nor to measure his worth by their standards. He had realized that the expectations placed on him were not his own, but a reflection of what others thought he should be. The other lions were born with strength, speed, and an instinctive ability to hunt. Leo, however, had something that set him apart, a mind full of curiosity and an unwavering resolve to find his place in the world. One morning, while walking through the dense underbrush of the jungle, Leo came across a small group of monkeys playing in the trees. They swung from branch to branch with incredible agility, their laughter echoing through the air. Leo watched them for a while, amused by their carefree nature. They seemed to possess an energy that Leo admired, something he had never felt within himself. Their movements were swift, and their coordination was flawless, attributes Leo had always struggled to develop. But instead of feeling envious, as he once would have, Leo felt a spark of inspiration. "How do you do it?" Leo called up to one of the monkeys, his voice filled with curiosity. "How do you move so quickly and gracefully?" The monkey paused mid-swing and looked down at Leo with a grin. "It's all about practice, my friend. We don't become skilled overnight. Every time we swing from one branch to the next, we get a little better. It's the same with everything in life. You just have to keep trying, even when it seems difficult." Leo considered the monkey's words carefully. He had always thought that he needed to be perfect from the start, but perhaps the secret was in consistency and practice. It wasn't about being perfect at first try. It was about improving over time. That was something Leo could do. He could keep trying again and again, and each time he tried, he would become stronger and more capable. The monkeys had no pressure to be like the other animals. They simply embraced their unique abilities and practiced them every day. Leo realized that he had been putting too much pressure on himself to conform to a mold that was never meant for him. He was not a cheetah, nor was he a lion who could instantly bring down a large gazelle with his strength. He was Leo, and he had his own path to follow, one that would be shaped by his persistence and willingness to learn. With this new perspective in mind, Leo returned to his daily routines, but now he approached them with a sense of openness. Instead of feeling defeated after each failed attempt, Leo took it as a sign that he was learning. The jungle was filled with valuable lessons, if only he would pay attention. Every time he failed, he tried to analyze what went wrong, what he could improve, and what new strategies he could implement. Leo began practicing his hunting techniques in a different way. He no longer focused on mimicking the other lions, but instead he worked to develop his own unique style. He practiced his stealth, his patience, and his ability to stay calm in the face of adversity. He learned to trust his instincts and be more observant of the animals around him. Slowly but surely, Leo began to notice small improvements in his skills. His pounces became more controlled, his movements more deliberate. He began to understand the importance of timing and patience, realizing that sometimes the best approach was to wait for the perfect moment. One day, as Leo was stalking a herd of antelopes, he saw a young gazelle stray from the group. His heart raced as he silently moved through the tall grass, each step measured and cautious. He didn't rush, as he once would have, but instead, he took his time, keeping his focus on the gazelle's every move. Leo could feel the thrill of the hunt building inside him, but he remained patient, allowing the gazelle to move closer without alarming it. With a sudden burst of energy, Leo lunged forward, his muscles propelling him toward the prey. The chase was fast and intense, but Leo's movements were precise, his instincts sharp. With a final leap, he caught the gazelle, pinning it to the ground. For the first time, Leo felt a sense of triumph, not because of the kill, but because he had done it in his own way. He had trusted himself, relied on his newfound patience, and applied the lessons he had learned. The hunt had not been easy, but it had been a success, and that was what mattered. He was growing, improving, and becoming a lion in his own right, one step at a time. As the days turned into weeks, Leo continued to refine his skills and gain confidence in his abilities. He no longer compared himself to the other lions. Instead, he celebrated his own progress, no matter how small. The jungle, once a daunting and intimidating place, had become his training ground, a space where he could learn from the world around him and grow at his own pace. One day, as Leo sat by the river, reflecting on his journey, his mother approached him. She had been watching from a distance as he had grown and changed, and she could see the transformation within him. Leo looked up at her, his eyes filled with gratitude and newfound wisdom. "I see that you have learned much, my son," his mother said with a warm smile. "You've discovered that true strength comes from within. It's not about being like others, but about embracing your own path, your own struggles, and your own growth." Leo nodded, a sense of peace washing over him. He had come a long way from the uncertain cub who had once doubted his place in the jungle. He had learned that the key to success was not in achieving perfection, but in finding the courage to keep going, no matter the challenges. The obstacles he had faced were not barriers. They were opportunities for growth. And he had learned that, just like the river that flowed steadily through the jungle, he too could carve his own path, one step at a time. With his heart filled with new purpose and clarity, Leo stood up and walked deeper into the jungle. He was no longer defined by the expectations of others or the weight of his failures. He was Leo, the lion who had learned to trust in himself, to embrace his journey, and to find strength in every challenge he faced. The jungle was no longer a place of doubt. It was a place of opportunity, and Leo was ready to face whatever came his way. As time passed, Leo continued to refine his skills and strengthen his spirit. He had faced countless challenges, but each one had shaped him into the lion he was becoming. His confidence had grown, not from external validation, but from within. He understood now that strength wasn't just about physical power. It was about endurance, patience, and the ability to adapt. One evening, as Leo rested under the shade of an ancient acacia tree, he noticed a commotion nearby. The jungle had its own way of speaking, rustling leaves, distant calls, and sudden silences that hinted at something unusual. Leo's ears twitched as he picked up the sound of distress. He rose to his feet and followed the noise, his instincts guiding him. As he neared the source of the disturbance, he saw a young lion cub trapped between the roots of a fallen tree. The cub's frightened eyes met Leo's, and it let out a weak cry for help. The cub was small, likely only a few months old, and looked as though it had been separated from its pride. Leo hesitated for a moment. He had always been the one in need of help, the one struggling to find his way. Now, here he was, standing before a creature even more vulnerable than he had once been. Gently, Leo approached and examined the situation. The tree roots were tightly wrapped around the cub's hind leg. Any sudden movement could worsen the injury. The cub whimpered as Leo carefully tested the weight of the fallen branches. It was heavy, but not impossible to move. "Stay still," Leo said softly, his voice calm and reassuring. "I'll get you out." Summoning all the strength he had built over the months, Leo pushed against the roots. The wood creaked, resisting at first, but Leo did not give up. His muscles strained, his breath came in heavy bursts, but he pushed forward, inch by inch. The cub watched him with wide eyes, uncertain yet hopeful. With one final effort, Leo managed to shift the heavy root just enough for the cub to pull its leg free. The small lion stumbled backward, its injured limb trembling. Leo lowered his head to inspect it. It wasn't broken, but it was sore. "You're safe now," Leo assured him. The cub, still shaken, nuzzled against Leo's leg in gratitude. Leo felt something stir inside him, a sense of responsibility, of purpose. He had spent so long proving himself, searching for meaning, and now, in this moment, he realized that true strength was not just about survival, but about helping others find their way. Leo looked around. There was no sign of the cub's pride. It was alone, much like he had once been. But this time Leo knew what to do. "Come with me," he said. The cub hesitated for a moment, but then followed, limping slightly. Together, they walked through the jungle, Leo guiding the young lion with patience and care. As they moved, Leo told him stories of struggle, of failure, and of perseverance. The cub listened intently, absorbing every word. They reached a small clearing where Leo had made his temporary den. He shared his food with the cub and watched as it ate eagerly. He saw himself in the young lion, the same uncertainty, the same hunger, not just for sustenance, but for belonging. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Leo realized something profound. His journey had never been just about proving himself. It had been about growing, learning, and becoming the lion he was meant to be. Strength was not measured by how much he could take, but by how much he could give. Days turned into weeks, and the cub, whom Leo named Taro, grew stronger. Under Leo's watchful eye, Taro learned how to navigate the jungle, how to be patient when hunting, and how to trust his instincts. Leo was not just surviving anymore. He was teaching, guiding, and protecting. One day, as they were resting by the river, a familiar scent drifted through the air. Leo's senses sharpened. He recognized it immediately. It was the scent of a lion pride. Before long, a group of lions emerged from the trees. Among them was a lioness, her eyes scanning the area frantically. When she spotted Taro, she let out a relieved cry and rushed forward. "Taro," she called, her voice trembling with emotion. The cub's eyes lit up, and he bolted toward her, nuzzling into her embrace. Leo watched as the lioness licked her cub, ensuring he was safe. One of the larger lions stepped forward and looked at Leo with curiosity. "You found him?" the lion asked. Leo nodded. "He was trapped. I helped him." The lion studied Leo for a moment before nodding in gratitude. "You have done a great thing. Thank you." Leo watched as the pride welcomed Taro back, their reunion filled with warmth and relief. A part of him felt an ache. He had grown attached to the cub, but deep down, he knew that Taro belonged with his family. As the pride prepared to leave, Taro hesitated. He looked back at Leo, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," the cub whispered. Leo smiled. "Be strong." Taro gave one last glance before running back to his pride, disappearing into the jungle with them. As silence settled around him, Leo took a deep breath. He had spent his whole life searching for purpose, trying to prove himself. But now he understood. He was strong not because he had conquered his own battles, but because he had helped someone else fight theirs. Leo turned toward the jungle, feeling a newfound sense of peace. His journey was far from over, but for the first time, he wasn't walking it alone. He was a lion, not just any lion, but one who had found his true strength, his true purpose. And as he disappeared into the dense wilderness, The jungle no longer felt like an obstacle. It felt like home,